A shadow emerged on the horizon, stretching long across the sun-baked desert, as the first hints of dawn painted the sky in streaks of gold and crimson. In that instant, the fate of an entire Apache community hung in the balance. Ayani, the tribe's fiercest and most trusted warrior, rode alone, her presence silent, but commanding a figure of both grace and danger that the high plains had never seen before. She was sent on a mission that carried the weight of her people's survival to negotiate, if possible, the right to water on lands essential to the tribe's continued existence. But nothing about this morning suggested diplomacy would be straightforward. The Carter Ranch spread out before her, its wooden fence posts weathered cattle lowing faintly in the distance, and the first light glinting off Eli Carter's cabin. Eli, a man who had carved a life out of these harsh lands, was expecting visitors in the official sense, delegations, negotiators, people who followed the rules. Not this. Not a lone Apache woman appearing miles from the agreed meeting point, her leather pouch at her side, ceremonial paint streaking her face in patterns that seemed almost alive in the soft dawn glow. Ayani dismounted carefully, the sand shifting softly beneath her moccasins. She carried nothing but her pouch and the quiet authority of someone who had learned to read the land, the wind, and human intentions in equal measure. From the cabin's porch, Eli stepped out, rubbing the sleep from his eyes, sensing immediately that something was off. There were tracks around her, fresh footprints that formed a subtle arc across the dirt, evidence of someone who had been there minutes before. Someone who had left her deliberately a chess piece in a game whose rules Eli did not yet understand. He noticed the faint scent carried by the morning wind, sage leather oil, and the earthy smoke of ceremonial incense, all hinting at the ritual that had brought her here. His pulse quickened despite the calm of the desert morning. There was elegance in her posture, yet something about her eyes suggested calculation, something sharp and unreadable. Eli's mind raced why here, why now, and why alone. Ayani's gaze met his unwavering, unflinching. She tilted her head slightly as if weighing him, judging the man and the land, the moment, and the possibilities all at once. Her presence was more than a message. It was a statement, a challenge that carried both respect and warning. Eli recognized instinctively that this was no ordinary negotiation. Every movement, every detail, from the subtle creak of her pouch to the precise way she shifted her weight, spoke of hidden preparation, of a plan that did not include his full understanding. The air seemed to thrum with tension, the desert holding its breath. The morning chill brushed against Eli's skin, carrying with it the scent of danger woven with ritual and purpose. He could feel the weight of her decision before she spoke, the potential for diplomacy or disaster hovering on the same thread. Ayani, for her part, allowed no fear, to show only the stillness of someone fully aware of what was at stake, someone prepared to act decisively when the time came. As she took a step forward, the desert light catching the patterns of her paint, Eli realized that this was not merely a meeting. This was a test of wit, courage, and intuition, a trial that could decide whether her people would secure the water they needed, or whether he would unwittingly play into a trap laid by forces neither of them fully understood. Her presence alone challenged his assumptions about who held power in this land, reminding him that intelligence and audacity often outweighed brute force. For the audience watching this was more than a tale of the Old West. It was a story about decisions made under pressure, about the courage to step into the unknown, and the wisdom to trust in one's instincts even when the stakes could not be higher. Men and women who had faced life's own deserts, its dangers and its uncertainties, could see themselves in Eli's cautious calculations and in Ayani's fearless poise. The scent of sage, the weight of leather, the ritual smoke curling into the sky, all of it connected them to a timeless lesson that boldness, intellect, and courage are always tested most fiercely in the moments when survival, honor, and the welfare of a community hang by the thinnest of threads. And so the stage was set, the sun climbing higher as shadows lengthened and the wind whispered across the plains. In that fragile, charged stillness, the story of Ayani and Eli was about to unfold a tale of strategy, courage, and the invisible lines of loyalty and danger that ran through the heart of the untamed West. As Ayani spoke, her voice calm, yet commanding Eli, Carter's eyes darted repeatedly to the shifting sands around the ranch. Something about the layout of the tracks, the subtle arcs in the dirt, and the way the morning light highlighted certain shadows made his stomach tighten. These were not ordinary footprints of a lone visitor. They formed a pattern, a carefully laid trap that spoke of preparation and intent. The ranch, which had always seemed safe in the still hours of dawn, now felt like a stage for a deadly game. Ayani, sensing the rising tension, tightened her grip on the leather pouch. It wasn't just a bundle of papers. It concealed a small knife, an iron shackles tools that could mean survival or death in the hands of someone quick and resourceful. Her instincts were sharpened, every muscle poised, ready to react. She'd been trained for moments like this, but the weight on her shoulders was heavier than any physical burden. Protecting Eli while fulfilling her tribe's mission required split-second judgments and unerring precision. Then came the first distant crack of a rifle shot. The bullet struck the fence a mere few feet away, sending splinters into the air and silencing the cattle. Eli's heart raced as he realized the danger was immediate, not theoretical. Whoever was out there was skilled, coordinated, and intent on taking what they wanted. These were no ordinary bandits. The scent of smoke, the faint glint of polished steel, and the methodical sound of rifles being prepared spoke of mercenaries sent by the railroad company aiming to seize documents that could control water rights and land access across miles of territory. Ayani's eyes met Eli's, a flicker of acknowledgement passing between them. The plan had been to lure him into compliance or capture, but she would not allow it. Her mind raced through strategies, every movement deliberate. She shifted slightly to the left, using a low ridge to obscure their silhouettes, then inched closer to Eli, drawing him instinctively into cover. Her motions were fluid, almost dance-like, a careful balance of stealth and readiness. The rising sun caught the ceremonial paint on her face, turning her into a phantom of both beauty and menace, impossible to ignore, yet deadly precise. Eli, for the first time, saw the depth of her intelligence and courage. This was not a warrior who simply obeyed orders. This was a strategist, a protector, someone whose loyalty and moral compass extended beyond duty to the human level. He realized he could trust her instincts, that her choices, though independent, were guided by a code he could respect, even admire. More shots rang out closer now, punctuating the desert morning with a rhythm of imminent threat. Ayani reacted instantly, moving them both behind a cluster of boulders. She whispered instructions, her words carrying authority and urgency. Every glance she gave, every adjustment in posture conveyed calm in chaos, training in action, and a profound understanding of human behavior under pressure. Eli followed, learning quickly to anticipate her movements, to see the terrain as she saw it, to act in concert rather than in isolation. From a distance, the morning light illuminated the meticulous choreography, how shadows could conceal them, how the uneven terrain provided both cover and advantage. Ayani had chosen her moment, used the environment, and leveraged the fear in their attackers' hearts to protect both herself and Eli. It was a lesson in strategy, risk assessment, and coordination under pressure principles, not confined to the West, but relevant to any challenge where stakes are high and decisions must be precise. In that tense dawn, as the desert wind carried the scent of sage and dust, Eli understood that survival was as much about trust and judgment as it was about skill or firepower. Ayani's resolve showed him that courage could be both quiet and explosive, that intelligence paired with moral choice could change the outcome even when odds seemed insurmountable. The line between life and death, right and wrong, was drawn in sand and shadow, and together they would navigate it. The hidden root cellar behind Eli's cabin lay buried beneath years of dust-tangled brush and the weight of his father's careful secrecy. As Eli tore away the last layers of debris, the familiar scent of aged wood and earth filled his lungs, a stark contrast to the acrid smell of gunpowder lingering on the morning wind. Inside, wrapped in oilcloth to preserve it from moisture, lay his father's leather-bound journal. The pages were dense with meticulous handwriting, a web of names, dates, and payments that traced a network of corruption stretching through the territorial government and the railroad company. Eli's pulse quickened. The proof was here, tangible, undeniable. But so was the danger. Ayani crouched behind him, eyes scanning the perimeter with the precision of a hawk. She knew that retrieving the journal would not be enough. Durant the railroad's ruthless enforcer and his cadre of hired gunmen were closing in, armed, disciplined, and expecting to intimidate any resistance into submission. Every moment counted. Every step could decide life or death. Ayani's hand rested lightly on the hilt of the small knife concealed in her pouch. It was a whisper of threat, a promise of swift retribution should they close the distance. The first shot cracked the dawn silence, splintering a fence post nearby. Dust rose around them like smoke from a miniature battlefield. Eli ducked instinctively, feeling the rush of adrenaline surge through his veins. Ayani moved fluidly, blocking his path toward danger, drawing the attacker's fire with a combination of boldness and strategy. Her motions were precise, deliberate, and almost mesmerizing, every step calculated to protect Eli while keeping their opponents off balance. Eli, relying on decades of experience riding the plains, responded in kind. His hand gripped his rifle instincts honed over years of cattle drives and confrontations with outlaws guiding his aim and timing. Together, he and Ayani became a single force, alternating between cover and counterattack, retreat and advance. Every movement was more than survival. It was a choreography of strategy, each action layered with intent and consequence. Durant's men, skilled but unfamiliar with the terrain and distracted by the unpredictable tactics of the Apache warrior, began to falter. Shadows of boulders and sparse trees became cover. The uneven ground turned to advantage, and the early sun cast long streaks of light that Ayani used to mask their movements. Her voice, low but commanding, guided Eli move left. Use the ridge. Don't expose yourself to the line near the corral. Each instruction was both a shield and a key, allowing them to navigate a battlefield where one misstep could be fatal. As the skirmish intensified, the sound of hooves grew in the distance. Ayani's eyes flicked toward the horizon, a subtle signal that relief or reinforcements was near. In a surge of coordinated precision, the Apache tribe appeared emerging from the shadows of the ridges like a storm of disciplined warriors. They cut off every escape route surrounding Durant's men with a silent, deadly efficiency. The battlefield shifted in an instant. The hunters became the hunted. The journal, now clutched in Eli's hands, symbolized more than evidence. It was justice, a tool to right wrongs and protect their land. Yet the danger remained immediate. The clash of bullets, the shuffle of feet on hard earth, and the sharp, controlled commands created a tension that gripped both the characters and the audience. Each maneuver, each shot was a testament to courage, intelligence, and collaboration. Through it all, the audience feels the stakes. The adrenaline, the anticipation, the split-second decisions. It's not mere violence, but a study in trust skill and moral choice under pressure. Eli and Ayani's cooperation, honed through instinct and respect, mirrors lessons that resonate far beyond the West. Strategic thinking, decisive action, and confidence in the people around you often define the outcome more than raw strength alone. As Durant's forces were corralled and the immediate threat neutralized, the desert fell momentarily silent, a calm born of victory and survival. Ayani's eyes met Eli's, a mixture of relief, respect, and unspoken acknowledgement passing between them. The journal was safe, the conspiracy exposed, but the moment carried a weight far heavier than the evidence, the bond forged under fire, the courage demonstrated in the face of overwhelming danger, and the profound truth that justice and honor are preserved through both action and alliance. The desert air was heavy with the aftermath of gunfire dust swirling in golden shafts of morning light. Eli and Ayani stood among the scattered remnants of Durant's mercenaries, their breaths steadying, but hearts still racing from the intensity of the battle. The Apache warriors, moving with silent precision, secured the perimeter, their presence a tangible reminder of the tribe's unity strategy and unwavering resolve. Every step they took, every gesture of command, spoke of generations of knowledge in protecting their land and people. The once imposing threat of Durant and his hired guns had dissolved into helplessness. Their schemes exposed their strength, neutralized by courage planning and moral conviction. Eli clutched the leather-bound journal, its weight heavier than any gun or rifle could convey. Within its pages lay the proof of systemic corruption, bribes, land fraud, and a string of murders orchestrated by Durant and facilitated through a network of compromised officials. The evidence was undeniable, a testament to Eli's father's foresight and the perseverance of those who refused to be silenced. Though the immediate danger had passed, both he and Ayani understood that the responsibility now extended beyond survival. This was more than a private victory. It was a tool for justice, a weapon to restore balance and hold the guilty accountable. Ayani's eyes, still sharp with awareness, softened briefly as she regarded Eli. In the crucible of danger, mutual trust had been forged. Every decision, every risk they had taken side by side had bound them together in a partnership built on respect and courage. There was an unspoken acknowledgement between them. Their alliance was no longer merely strategic. It had become personal, rooted in shared experience, loyalty, and the profound understanding that one's integrity could shape the world around them. The scene unfolded with cinematic intensity. Apache warriors fanned out like a storm across the ridgelines, their coordinated movements slicing through the lingering haze of dust and smoke. Sunlight caught the edges of their weapons, glinting off metal and leather, highlighting the precision and discipline that transformed chaos into order. It was a moment that seemed suspended in time, a ballet of vigilant strategy and honor, reminding Eli and anyone watching that courage and intelligence often triumph where raw power alone would fail. Durant, defeated and restrained, could no longer manipulate or intimidate. His arrogance had been met with the combined force of intellect, bravery, and moral certainty. The corporate greed and violence that had seemed unstoppable now lay exposed, and the desert silence that followed carried the weight of justice finally achieved. For Eli, the lesson was clear. Even in a world ruled by lawless ambition, the right actions taken with thought and conviction could turn the tide. Yet amid victory, there was reflection. Both Eli and Ayani recognized that the journey was far from over. Protecting the journal, ensuring it reached the right hands, and safeguarding the future of the land demanded continued vigilance. But they also understood the reward, the confirmation that justice, when pursued with courage and strategic thought, could prevail even in the most hostile circumstances. Their bond, strengthened through shared peril, became a symbol not only of personal trust, but of the broader principle that collaboration, respect, and moral courage were essential to surviving and thriving in the harsh realities of the West. For viewers, the story offered more than drama. It highlighted enduring values, the importance of integrity, the power of collective effort, and the impact of taking a stand against wrongdoing. Lessons learned on the rugged plains of the frontier resonated in modern life. Whether in leadership, community, or personal responsibility, facing challenges with honesty, trust, and courage remain timeless principles. Eli and Ayani's actions showed that when people act with purpose and conscience, they can overcome threats far greater than themselves, creating a legacy that echoes through generations. In the quiet aftermath, as the sun rose higher, casting long shadows across the desert, both felt the satisfaction of hard-won justice and the anticipation of what lay ahead. The battlefield had taught them, and anyone watching, that bravery, intelligence, and moral clarity could turn peril into triumph, and that standing together in the face of corruption and danger was always worth the risk. As the sun climbed higher over the rugged desert horizon, Eli and Ayani stood together at the heart of the Apache camp, the golden light illuminating the dust-swirled plains and casting long, steady shadows that stretched toward the distant mesas. Around them, the warriors moved with disciplined precision, a silent testament to the unity, courage, and enduring strength of their people. Every glance, every gesture reflected the centuries of wisdom and resilience that had been passed down through generations. For Eli and Ayani, the morning brought more than relief. It carried the profound weight of responsibility, a recognition that the battle they had just survived was only a single chapter in the ongoing struggle to protect land, heritage, and justice. In Eli's hands rested the leather-bound journal, the culmination of his father's foresight and painstaking record-keeping. Its pages contained evidence of corruption, bribery, and even violence orchestrated by Durant and his network of unscrupulous allies spanning the upper echelons of territorial power. The journal was more than a piece of paper. It was a symbol of integrity and accountability, a tool that could alter the fate of communities and a testament to the impact of principled action. Eli realized more clearly than ever that courage and intelligence combined with ethical choice could shift the balance of power, often in ways that sheer force could never achieve. Strength alone was insufficient in a world where deceit, ambition, and greed lurked behind every carefully constructed facade. Ayani, standing at his side, represented the embodiment of strategy, bravery, and moral conviction. Every decision she had made, every calculated risk taken to protect Eli and the journal underscored the importance of foresight, trust, and collaboration. Their partnership, forged in the crucible of life or death danger, had grown beyond necessity into mutual respect and admiration. The shared experience of navigating ambush, interpreting terrain, and surviving against overwhelming odds had created a bond that was both professional and deeply personal. For the first time, Eli understood the depth of her courage and the precision of her mind, and Ayani recognized that his steadfastness and decisiveness could be trusted implicitly. Around them, the Apache warriors formed a living emblem of order and protection, their disciplined presence asserting a message as powerful as any weapon. Unity, respect for culture, and collective action could overcome even the most devious plots. The tribe had demonstrated that collaboration and adherence to shared principles could triumph over corruption and violence. Their coordinated movements, honed over generations, transformed the battlefield into a stage of justice, where morality and skill prevailed over chaos and intimidation. For viewers, the story carries enduring lessons. It highlights the value of courage, wisdom, and ethical action in the face of adversity, emphasizing that thoughtful strategy and collaboration often outweigh brute force. It reinforces the importance of trust and mutual support, showing that when individuals work together guided by principle and shared purpose, they can overcome threats far greater than themselves. The tale of Eli and Ayani serves as a reminder that acting with integrity, protecting what is right, and respecting cultural knowledge are not just heroic ideals. They are practical tools for navigating life, community, and leadership. As they gazed toward the horizon, Eli and Ayani felt the deep satisfaction of having upheld justice, safeguarded evidence, and preserved their people's legacy. The sun now fully illuminated the camp, signaling the beginning of a new day, a day shaped by courage, wisdom, and honor. Their bond, strengthened through adversity, symbolized the enduring power of human connection, born of trust and shared purpose. If the story of Eli and the Apache warrior Ayani has inspired you, please follow Epic Western Stories, share, like, and comment below to explore more tales of bravery, justice, and human spirit on the frontier. Thank you for joining us on this journey.